The fourth time Sophia mentioned her cousin's investment opportunity, something in my gut twisted. The first time, I thought she was just making conversation. The second time, I figured she was excited about her family's business ventures. But by the fourth time, sitting at my kitchen table while my son Michael poured her coffee, I noticed the pattern. Every mention came right after I'd talked about Michael's graduation gift, the $80,000 I'd been saving for 26 years. I'm James Whitmore. I turned 62 last March, and I've been a CPA for almost 40 years before I retired. Numbers are my language. Patterns are what I do. And Sophia Chen's pattern was setting off every alarm bell I'd learned to trust in 4 decades of sniffing out financial irregularities. Michael met Sophia 6 months ago at a networking event in Boston. She worked in marketing for a tech startup, or so she said. She was beautiful, confident, always knew exactly what to say. When she complimented my pot roast at Sunday dinner, I appreciated it. When she asked thoughtful questions about my late wife's garden that I still maintained, I felt seen. When she remembered that Michael had been allergic to strawberries as a child, I thought she was attentive. But when she started asking about the graduation gift, everything shifted. "Your father is so generous," she'd said the first time, her hand on Michael's shoulder. $80,000. That's life-changing money. Michael had beamed with pride, talking about how I'd opened a savings account the day he was born, adding to it every month for 26 years. He didn't see what I saw. The way her eyes calculated, the way her smile didn't quite reach her eyes when she looked at me. The second mention came 2 weeks later. "My cousin Daniel is looking for investors," she'd said casually over dinner. "His AI startup just got into a prestigious accelerator program. Early investors are going to make a fortune." Michael had been interested, asking questions. I'd stayed quiet, watching. The third time was more direct. "Daniel needs to close his funding round by next month," she'd said, pulling up a sleek presentation on her phone. "The minimum investment is $75,000. I told him about Michael's graduation gift. He's willing to make an exception and let Michael in." That night, after they left, I sat in my study for hours. My wife Sarah had died 5 years ago, and she'd always been the one who could read people. "Trust your numbers, James," she used to say. "They never lie." So I started running numbers. Why exactly 75,000? Why not 50 or 100? Because 80,000 minus living expenses for a few months left almost exactly 75,000. Why the urgency? Why mention it every single time we talked about the graduation money? Why did this opportunity just happen to appear right when Michael was about to receive a life-changing sum? I couldn't sleep. At 3 in the morning, I did what I'd done hundreds of times for clients over the years. I started digging. Daniel Chen, Sophia's cousin. I searched business registrations in Massachusetts. Nothing. I searched LinkedIn. Found 3 Daniel Chens in tech, none related to Sophia based on mutual connections. I searched the accelerator program she'd mentioned. No Daniel Chen. No AI startup matching her description. My hands were shaking. This wasn't paranoia. This was pattern recognition. And the pattern was fraud, but I needed to be sure. The next morning, I called Margaret Sullivan. She'd been a forensic accountant before becoming a private investigator, and we'd worked together on several cases over the years. "Margaret," I said, "I need you to look into someone, quietly." "Who's the target?" she asked. "My son's girlfriend." There was a pause. "James, are you sure? These things can get messy." "I'm sure. Her name is Sophia Chen. She's 28, works in marketing, and she's trying to get my son to invest his entire graduation gift into her cousin's startup. A cousin who doesn't seem to exist." "Give me a week," Margaret said. That week was torture. I watched Michael with Sophia, saw how happy he was. He just graduated from Harvard Business School, top 15% of his class. He was brilliant with business strategy, but he was still my boy, still the kid who believed the best in people, still trusting in a way that made me proud and terrified at the same time. Sophia kept circling back to the investment. "Daniel's closing the round this Friday," she'd say. "This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, babe." Michael would look at me, seeking approval. I'd give non-committal answers. "It's your money, son, but take your time. No rush." "Dad, you always taught me to seize opportunities," Michael said one night after Sophia went home. We were sitting on the back porch, The same place where I'd taught him to throw a baseball 20 years ago. This could set me up for life. Get me ahead of my student loans. Build real wealth. I also taught you due diligence, I said carefully. Have you seen the business plan? The financials? Met this cousin of hers? Sophia's been coordinating everything. She says Daniel's super busy with the accelerator program. But she's shown me the pitch deck. It looks solid, Dad. Can I see it? He pulled it up on his phone. I scrolled through. It was professional, glossy, full of buzzwords, ROI projections of 300% in 18 months, market analysis that looked impressive but was vague on details, no real financials, no business registration information, no team credentials. Michael, I said slowly, this looks like every fraudulent investment pitch I've seen in 40 years of accounting. His face fell. Dad, come on. You're being paranoid. This is Sophia's family. Why would she lie to me? I'm not saying she's lying. I'm saying we should verify. Have your own advisor look at this. Meet Daniel in person. See the business registration, the accelerator program acceptance letter, I trust her, Michael said, standing up. I know you're trying to protect me, but I'm not a kid anymore. This is my decision. He walked inside. I sat there in the dark, feeling like I'd just driven a wedge between us. But what was I supposed to do? Watch him throw away 26 years of savings on what increasingly looked like a con. Margaret called me 3 days later. James, you need to sit down for this. I was already sitting, but I gripped the armrest of my chair anyway. Tell me, Sophia Chen, real name, real marketing job, real apartment. But that's where the truth ends. She paused. I found 2 previous boyfriends, Brandon Hayes in 2021, David Park in 2022. Both received significant inheritances or financial gifts. Both were approached by Sophia about investment opportunities with her cousin Daniel. Both invested substantial amounts. Brandon lost $45,000. David lost $60,000. My blood went cold. Did they report it? Brandon did. Police couldn't prove fraud because technically the business existed. It was just a shell company that dissolved 6 months after receiving investments. The cousin, by the way, doesn't exist. It was Sophia's friend Marcus playing the role. They'd meet the boyfriends once or twice, always in public places, always rushed. Marcus would take the money, give them fake equity documents, then disappear. The business would fold, legal enough to avoid prosecution, but absolutely a scam. David, too embarrassed to report it, but he gave me a detailed statement. Same exact pattern. She dated him for 4 months. The investment pitch came right when he got his signing bonus from his new job. $70,000. Gone. Jesus Christ. There's more, Margaret said grimly. I found a third one. Thomas Wright, 2019. He lost $38,000. There might be others I haven't found yet. This is her MO, James. She finds young men with money, plays the perfect girlfriend, then her cousin swoops in with the opportunity of a lifetime. They're good, professional. They've been doing this for at least 4 years. I felt sick. I need evidence. Something I can show Michael. He won't believe me otherwise. I'm emailing you everything right now. Statements from Brandon and David. Screenshots of Sophia's old social media posts with these guys. Then the scrubbed accounts after the relationships ended. Business registration documents showing the shell companies. And James? I contacted the accelerator program she mentioned. They've never heard of Daniel Chen or any AI startup matching her description. The email came through. I opened it on my laptop, started reading. Each page made me angrier. This wasn't just financial fraud. This was emotional manipulation. She'd made these men fall in love with her, made them trust her, then vanished with their money and their dignity. And she was doing it to my son. But how could I tell him? He was already defensive when I questioned her pitch. If I came at him with accusations about his girlfriend being a con artist, he'd think I was the paranoid old man trying to control his life. He might cut me out entirely, and then she'd have free rein. I needed to think this through. Michael's graduation was in 5 days, followed by a family dinner party I was hosting. 40 people, including my brother, Michael's friends from business school, colleagues from my old firm. It was supposed to be a celebration. That night, I made a decision. I called Margaret back. Can you come to the graduation dinner? As a guest? What do you have in mind? I need to protect my son. But I need him to see the truth for himself, not hear it from his paranoid father. Can you bring printouts of everything? Physical evidence? James, are you sure? This could blow up spectacularly. It's already blown up. I just need to make sure my son survives the explosion. The next 4 days were agony. I watched Sophia play her role perfectly. Doting girlfriend, supportive partner. She helped Michael pick out his suit for graduation. She coordinated with me about the dinner party, suggesting menu items, offering to help set up. She was warm, thoughtful, considerate. If I didn't know what I knew, I'd think she was perfect for him. Dad, I'm going to do it. Michael told me the night before graduation. We were alone in the kitchen, and he couldn't meet my eyes. I'm investing in Daniel's startup. Sophia says they need the money by Monday, or the opportunity closes. My heart sank. Michael, please, just wait. Meet this cousin first. Have a lawyer look at the documents. Give it 2 weeks. 2 weeks and the opportunity's gone, he said. I know you don't like Sophia, but this isn't about her. I don't dislike Sophia, I said, which was true in a way. I pitied her, actually. What kind of person becomes this? I'm asking you to do basic due diligence. That's all. Is that really too much? You're asking me not to trust my girlfriend. I'm asking you to verify an investment before you commit your life savings to it. He shook his head. I'm 26 years old. I just got an MBA from Harvard. I think I can evaluate an investment opportunity. Then evaluate it, properly. Show it to Professor Chen from your finance department. Ask for audited financials. Meet the cousin. See the office. Do any of the things you literally just spent 2 years learning to do. I have to make this decision, Dad. Not you. He left. I stood there in the kitchen, the same kitchen where I'd made him breakfast before his first day of kindergarten, where we'd celebrated every birthday, where his mother had taught him to bake cookies before she died. How had we gotten here? Graduation day was beautiful, sunny, warm, perfect. I watched my son walk across that stage and receive his diploma, and I was so proud I could barely breathe. This brilliant young man who'd worked so hard, who'd overcome his mother's death in his sophomore year, who'd powered through and graduated with honors, and someone was about to steal from him. Not if I could help it. The dinner party started at 6. I'd arranged everything at my house. The big colonial with the gardens Sarah had loved. 40 people mingled in the backyard, drinks flowing, laughter everywhere. Michael was glowing, Sophia at his side, playing perfect hostess. Margaret arrived at 6:30, dressed professionally, looking like any other colleague from my old firm. She caught my eye across the yard and gave a subtle nod. She had everything. At 7, I called everyone inside for dinner. Long tables set up in the dining room and living room, catered food that Sarah would have loved. I gave a toast to Michael, talking about how proud I was, how bright his future was. Everyone applauded. Michael hugged me, and in that moment, I almost broke down. Then I saw Sophia whispering to him, saw him nod, saw her smile. It was now or never. Before we eat, I said, still standing, I have one more gift for Michael, a professional one. I gestured to Margaret. This is Margaret Sullivan, an old colleague of mine. Margaret? Margaret stood, holding a manila folder. Sophia's smile faltered slightly. Michael, Margaret said, your father asked me to do some research, standard due diligence on the investment opportunity you've been considering. I'm a forensic accountant, and I specialize in investigating financial fraud. The room went quiet. Michael's face flushed. Dad, what the hell? Let her finish, I said quietly. Margaret opened the folder. The investment opportunity presented to you involves a company allegedly run by Daniel Chen. I've been unable to verify the existence of Daniel Chen in connection with any registered business in Massachusetts or any accelerator program. However, I have found something interesting. She pulled out photos. These are 2 men. Brandon Hayes and David Park. Both dated Sophia Chen in previous years. Both were approached with nearly identical investment opportunities involving her cousin Daniel. Both lost substantial amounts of money when the businesses dissolved shortly after receiving their investments. Sophia stood up. This is insane. Michael, your father hired someone to investigate me? What kind of controlling? I have signed statements from both men, Margaret continued calmly. I have business registration documents showing shell companies that existed briefly, then dissolved. I have financial records showing transfers of money that match the exact pattern of the pitch you received, Michael. And I have proof that the accelerator program Sophia mentioned has no record of Daniel Chen or the company in question. Michael was staring at Sophia. What is she talking about? She's lying, Sophia said, but her voice was shaking. Michael, baby, you know me. This is your father trying to control you. He's always been overprotective. He can't let you grow up and— How much did Brandon lose? Michael asked, his voice flat. Margaret looked at him with something like pity. $45,000. And David? $60,000. Michael turned to Sophia. Is any of this true? Of course not. Michael, I love you. We're building a life together. Your father is— Do you have a cousin named Daniel? Michael interrupted. Sophia opened her mouth, closed it. It's complicated. He's more of a family friend, but yes or no? Silence. I think you should leave, Michael said quietly. Michael, please, let me explain. This is all a misunderstanding. Those other guys, they were— Leave, his voice broke. Now. Sophia looked around the room, 40 pairs of eyes on her. Then she grabbed her purse and walked out. The front door slammed. Michael stood there, swaying slightly. Then he sat down hard in his chair and put his head in his hands. The room was so quiet I could hear the clock ticking in the hallway. I walked over and put my hand on his shoulder. He didn't shrug it off. I'm sorry, I said. I'm so sorry you had to find out this way. But I couldn't let you. You were right, he said, his voice muffled. You were right, and I almost— God, Dad, I almost gave her everything. I was going to transfer the money Monday morning. All of it. I knelt down next to his chair, ignoring my bad knee. You didn't. That's what matters. I loved her, he whispered. I really loved her. I know, son. I know. He looked up at me, eyes red. How did you know? How did you see it when I couldn't? Experience, I said. And because I've spent 26 years watching patterns in numbers, and another 26 years watching patterns in how people try to hurt my boy. You're brilliant, Michael, but you're trusting. That's not a flaw. It's just— it needs to be balanced with verification. Margaret cleared her throat softly. Michael, I've filed reports with the district attorney's office. With your permission, I'd like to add your case to the complaint. You didn't lose money, but attempted fraud is still prosecutable. Michael nodded numbly. Whatever you need. The party slowly resumed after that, but the energy was different, quieter. People kept coming up to Michael, patting his shoulder, telling him he dodged a bullet. My brother took me aside at one point. Jim, that took guts. He could have hated you forever. He still might, I said. No, my brother said. He won't. You saved him. He knows it. Later that night, after everyone left, Michael and I sat on the back porch again. Same spot where we'd argued a week earlier. Same stars overhead. Different world. I should have listened to you, Michael said. You weren't ready to hear it. Sometimes the hardest lessons are the ones we have to learn for ourselves. I just made sure you learned it before it cost you everything. Those other guys, he said, Brandon and David, they weren't as lucky. No, I could have been them, but you're not. Because you have a father who loves you enough to risk your anger. And because when it came down to it, you trusted the evidence. He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, I think I need to move back home for a while. Sophia and I shared an apartment. I can't go back there right now. Your room's ready, I said. It's always ready. He leaned his head on my shoulder, like he used to when he was small. Thanks, Dad. Always. We sat there until the stars were bright overhead, the same stars his mother used to point out and name. I thought about all the ways I could have lost him, to a con artist, to pride, to the belief that love was enough without verification, but I didn't lose him. He was right here, safe, broke, but not broken. The district attorney called a week later. With statements from Brandon, David, and now Michael's testimony about attempted fraud, they had enough for criminal charges. Sophia Chen and her partner Marcus were arrested 3 weeks later. They'd been operating this scheme for 6 years, it turned out. 10 victims total, over $500,000 stolen. Michael wasn't the first young professional they'd targeted, but he was the first they didn't get. Michael still lives with me 6 months later. He got a great job at a consulting firm in Boston. He's dating again, slowly, carefully. He asks me to run background checks on people now, and I do, But I also remind him that most people are good. Most people won't try to steal from you. You just have to trust your instincts and verify before you commit. Like you did with Sophia, he says. Like I did with Sophia. He's healing. We both are. And sometimes, on Sunday nights, we sit on that back porch, and he thanks me, not just for saving his money, for saving him from the person he might have become if he'd lost everything to someone he loved. For showing him that trust without verification isn't love. It's just hope. And hope alone isn't enough to build a life on. You need trust, but you also need patterns. You need instincts, and you need someone who loves you enough to risk your anger to protect your future. I'm just glad I could be that someone for my son.